Life ain't fair. It never has been, and it never will be. That's the truth. You weren't born into a world that hands out fairness like candy, that gives everybody a perfect life with perfect people standing beside them. No, life is raw. Life is unpredictable. And sometimes life will make you feel like you are standing in the middle of a battlefield with no armor, no backup, and no way out. But listen to me. Fairness is not what makes you strong. It's not what builds you. It's not what turns you into something unstoppable. Struggle does that. Pain does that. Being left out, being overlooked, being underestimated. That's what sharpens you. That's what turns you from just another person in the crowd into something greater. You think you're alone? Maybe you are, but let me tell you something. Being alone is not a punishment. It's a training ground. It's a forge. You ever seen steel being made? They take metal and put it in the fire. They heat it up until it's glowing. They beat it, they shape it, they mold it, and only after it's been through the fire, only after it's been broken down and rebuilt, does it become a weapon. Does it become unbreakable? You are that steel. You're standing in the fire right now, wondering why life is so unfair, why nobody is beside you, why no one is clapping for you. But hear me. You don't need fairness. You need fire. Because fairness makes people comfortable. Fire makes warriors. So, no, life ain't fair. But it is shaping you. It is sharpening you. And one day, when you walk through this world unshaken, when nothing and no one can break you, you'll realize you never needed fairness. You needed this journey. You needed this fight. And you were built for it. Keep walking. Keep standing. Keep rising. People will make you think that if you're alone, something must be wrong with you. They'll look at you and wonder, why doesn't she have a group? Why doesn't she have a circle? And they'll try to put doubt in your mind, make you believe that being alone means being weak. But let me tell you something. Walking alone does not mean you are weak. It means you are strong enough to stand without needing to be held up. Look at history. Look at the warriors, the leaders, the legends. They didn't start their journey with a crowd behind them. They walked alone. They fought alone. They struggled in silence. But that silence, that solitude, that's where they found their power. That's where they learned how to move without permission, how to rise without applause, how to believe in themselves when nobody else did. It's how you do it. You see, when you have a crowd, it's easy to feel strong. It's easy to think you're powerful when people are hyping you up, lifting you, pushing you forward. But real power, that's when you can walk through the storm with no one beside you and still keep going. That's when you can look in the mirror, see nothing but yourself staring back and say, I am enough. A woman with no friends is not a woman without power. She is a woman without distractions. She is a woman who doesn't need validation, who doesn't need approval, who doesn't need permission to be great. She moves differently because she's not looking for acceptance. She's looking for elevation. And when the time comes, when she reaches where she's meant to be, the right people, the ones who match her strength, her vision, her energy, will appear. But until then, she walks alone. Head high, unshaken, unstoppable, because strength is not measured by how many people walk with you. It's measured by how far you can walk when it's just you. Keep moving, keep building, keep rising, because being alone is not a weakness. It's proof that you were built for something bigger. You ever notice how the strongest people in this world are the ones who went to the fire alone? The ones who didn't have a cheering squad, didn't have support system, didn't have a safety net. See, strength ain't built in comfort. It ain't built when everything is easy. Strength is built in solitude. Strength is built in silence. Strength is built when it's just you and the fight in front of you. A lot of people fold when they don't have somebody to lean on. They start doubting themselves, start feeling like they're not good enough. Start thinking maybe they need people around to validate them. But let me tell you something. True power is when you can stand 10 toes down with nobody in your corner and still move forward. when you can wipe your own tears, lift your own head, and remind yourself, I got this. See, most people need the noise. They need the attention. They need people clapping for them, telling them they're doing great. But a real warrior, she don't need applause. She don't need approval. She don't need an audience. She wakes up every morning, looks in the mirror, and knows, I'm built for this. You think being alone makes you weak? No, no, no. Being alone is what's making you unbreakable. It's where your discipline is forged. It's where your confidence is built. It's where you learn that no matter what happens, no matter who stays or who leaves, you can keep going. You can keep rising. Because at the end of the day, strength isn't about how many people stand with you. It's about how many times you can stand up by yourself. And if you're still here, if you're still moving, if you're still fighting, then you already got everything you need. Keep walking, keep pushing, keep building. Because the woman who learns to survive alone becomes the woman no one can break. People will look at you and make their own judgments. Why is she always by herself? Why doesn't she have a circle? And they'll whisper, they'll assume, they'll act like being alone is some kind of failure. But let me tell you something. The world has a funny way of mistaking power for brokenness. They think if a woman doesn't have a crowd around her, she must be lost. They don't realize she's focused. See, society tries to make you believe that you need constant company to be whole, that you need a squad, a tribe, a never-ending list of people checking in on you. But let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a lion running with a pack? No, because lions walk alone. Because lions don't need a pack to know they're powerful. Being alone does not mean you are broken. It means you are in a season of building. It means you're not wasting your energy on the wrong people, the wrong conversations, the wrong distractions. It means you are protecting your peace, guarding your power, and using your time to become something unstoppable. Some people surround themselves with noise because they're afraid of silence. But a strong woman, she is not afraid of her own company. She doesn't need constant validation. She doesn't need someone in her ear telling her who she is. She already knows. And let me tell you something else. The people who doubt you now, the ones who question why you move alone, they will be the same ones watching in awe when you rise, when you succeed, when you step into your power, not because someone carried you there, but because you built yourself into it. So don't ever let anyone convince you that being alone means something is wrong with you, because it doesn't. It means something is right with you. It means you have standards. It means you refuse to settle for just anybody. It means you are choosing quality over quantity, strength over weakness, growth over stagnation. And when the time comes when you are exactly where you're meant to be, the right people, the ones who deserve to be in your life, will find you. Until then, you keep walking, you keep rising, you keep building. Because a woman who stands alone is a woman who stands strong. You ever notice how people always talk about success like it's a group project? Like you need a whole team, a whole squad, a whole cheering section just to be somebody? Let me tell you something, that's a lie. You don't need an audience to be great. You don't need people clapping for you to know your own worth. You were already born with value. See, too many people walk around thinking that if nobody is watching them, then what they're doing doesn't matter. That if nobody is hyping them up, then maybe they're not as strong, not as capable, not as powerful. But let me ask you something. When a tree grows deep in the forest, when its roots stretch strong beneath the earth, when its branches reach toward the sky, does it stop growing just because nobody's there to see it? Doesn't. No, it grows anyway. It grows because that's what it was meant to do. And you are meant to rise. You are meant to build. You are meant to keep moving, whether anybody notices or not. Because your greatness ain't determined by how many people are watching. It's determined by how hard you work when nobody is watching. Some people chase attention, some people chase approval, but real power is built in the quiet, in the lonely nights, in the moments when you're grinding, when you're pushing, when you're showing up for yourself. Even when there's no applause, no validation, no recognition, that's where real greatness is born. So don't you ever think for a second that you need a crowd to be powerful. You don't. You don't need people to approve of you. You don't need their permission to be extraordinary. You are already enough. You are already worthy. You are already unstoppable. And when the time comes, when you finally step into the life you were meant for, those same people who overlooked you, who doubted you, who thought you needed them to shine, they'll be the ones watching in awe. But you won't need their approval because you will have already won. Let me tell you something. This world does not hand out trophies for survival. There are no awards for resilience. Nobody's going to stand up and clap for you just because you kept going when life tried to break you. But does that mean you stop? Does that mean you shrink? Does that mean you sit in the dark, waiting for someone to notice your struggle? No. That means you rise anyway. That means you keep moving, whether they see you or not. Too many people walk around thinking that if they don't get recognized, their fight doesn't matter. That if nobody praises them, their effort is wasted. But let me remind you of something. You are not doing this for applause. You are doing this because you were built for this. You are doing this because you have something inside you that refuses to quit, refuses to break, refuses to be ordinary. You think diamonds get rewarded for their struggle? No. Diamonds get crushed, burned, and pressured until they shine. You think warriors get praised before the battle? No. They train in silence. They bleed in the shadows. They build their strength when nobody is watching. And you are no different. The world may not hand out trophies for survival, but that doesn't mean your fight isn't worth it. Every time you get up when you feel like staying down, every time you push forward when everything in you wants to stop, every time you stand strong when the weight of the world is trying to break you, that is your reward. That is your proof. So don't you dare wait for recognition. Don't you dare look around wondering why nobody is clapping for you, because you don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need a stage, a spotlight, a trophy. You just need you. And the moment you realize that, really realize it, nothing in this world will ever stop you again. Keep moving, keep rising, keep fighting, because even if the world never gives you an award, you will know deep in your soul that you earned every step of your greatness. And that is more powerful than any trophy they could ever give you. Let me tell you something. Before you ever did a single thing in this world, before you ever accomplished anything, before you ever proved yourself to anybody, you were already worthy. You were already enough. You didn't need to earn it. You didn't need to prove it. You were born with it. See, too many people walk through life believing that their worth is something they have to chase, that if they work hard enough, if they impress the right people, if they surround themselves with the right crowd, then they'll be valuable, then they'll matter. But that's not how this works. Your value is not up for debate. It's not something that increases when people like you and decreases when they don't. It is not something that disappears just because you are walking this road alone. A woman with no friends is still a woman with power. A woman with no crowd is still a woman with purpose. Because who you are is not determined by the number of people clapping for you. It's determined by the fire inside you, the strength within you, the way you keep showing up for yourself, even when nobody else does. And don't you dare forget that. Don't you dare let this world convince you that you are anything less than enough. Don't you let the silence make you doubt your greatness. Don't you let loneliness trick you into thinking you need people around to be somebody. No, you are already somebody. You are already a force. You are already unstoppable. So walk like it. Stand like it, move like it, stop waiting for permission, stop looking for validation, stop questioning whether or not you belong in the space you're in. You do. You were made for this. You were built for this. And no amount of loneliness, no lack of friends, no absence of applause will ever change that. You are worthy. You are powerful. And the moment you truly believe that, nothing in this world will ever be able to shake you. Now go, keep building, keep rising. Keep walking in the power that has always been yours. You ever notice how the world will throw everything at you just to see if you'll break? How life will hit you again and again, hoping one day you'll just stop? That's the test. That's the game. And let me tell you something. Most people do stop. Most people give in. Most people slow down when the weight gets heavy, when the road gets lonely, when the path ahead looks too damn hard. But not you. You keep moving, you keep pushing, you keep walking forward no matter what. Because life ain't about how easy the road is. It's not about how many people walk it with you. It's about whether or not you have the will to keep going, even when the road is empty, even when the road is rough, even when you feel like you're walking it alone. And I know it's hard. It's hard when there's no one beside you. It's hard when you don't have that shoulder to lean on. It's hard when the nights are quiet, when the days feel long, when the journey feels endless. But listen to me. You were built for this. You were built to endure. You were built to rise. You were built to keep walking, even when every part of you wants to stop. You know why? Because every step you take, no matter how slow, no matter how painful, is a step toward something greater. A step toward the person you are becoming. A step toward the power you are stepping into. So don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't let the loneliness make you question your strength. Because the woman who keeps moving, no matter who stays or who leaves, no matter who doubts her or who believes in her, that is the woman who cannot be broken. And you are that woman. You are not here to quit. You are not here to fade. You are here to rise. You are here to keep going no matter what. So lift your head, square your shoulders, and take that next step. Because the moment you stop looking back, the moment you stop hesitating, the moment you realize that you don't need anyone else to keep moving, that's the moment you become unstoppable. Let me tell you something. This world will make you think that just because you're alone, you're missing something. That just because you don't have people around you, something must be wrong. But hear me when I say this. Loneliness is not a weakness. Loneliness is your power. See, when you don't have a crowd around you, when you don't have people constantly in your ear, that's when you hear the most important voice, the one inside you. That's when you learn to trust yourself. That's when you stop looking for approval, stop waiting for permission, stop needing validation from anybody but you. Most people can't handle that. They don't know who they are without a crowd. They don't know what they want without someone telling them. But you are different. You are in a season of becoming. You are in a space where it's just you and your purpose, just you and your grind, just you and the fire inside you that refuses to go out. And that is where real power is born. Because the woman who can stand alone and still believe in herself, that's the woman who can walk into any room and own it. That's the woman who doesn't shrink, who doesn't lower herself, who doesn't settle just to fit in. That's the woman who knows her worth, who knows her strength, who knows that she doesn't need a crowd to be somebody, because she already is somebody. So don't you dare let this world convince you that being alone makes you less. It makes you more. It makes you sharper. It makes you stronger. Because one day, when you step into everything you were meant to be, when you walk into your power, into your greatness, into the life you've been building, those same people who questioned you, who doubted you, who whispered about why you were alone, they'll be the ones watching in awe. And you won't need their approval, because you will have already won. Keep standing, keep rising, keep believing, because the woman who walks alone today is the woman the world will follow tomorrow. Listen to me. You don't need a crowd to be powerful. You don't need a circle to be unstoppable. You don't need constant validation to know your own worth. You are not defined by how many people stand beside you. You are defined by how many times you stand up by yourself. You have walked through fire alone, and you are still standing. You have fought battles nobody knows about, and you are still here. You have been doubted, overlooked, underestimated, but did you break? No. Did you stop? No. And that right there, that is your power. That is what makes you unshakable, untouchable, undefeated. Because the woman who can walk alone and still rise, that's the woman no one can stop. That's the woman no one can break. That's the woman who doesn't need permission to be great, because she already is great. So don't waste another second questioning yourself. Don't shrink to fit in. Don't silence your voice just because the room isn't clapping for you. You don't need their applause. You don't need their approval. You don't need their... Walk like the warrior you are. Stand like the queen you were born to be. Move like the force that cannot be broken, because you are not alone. You are with you. And that is more than enough. Now go, keep building, keep rising, keep proving not to them, but to yourself that you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out.